chaos. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. The kids have been enjoying it. We've had a lot of good positive comments. We did some a bit of data analysis, if you like, from the deputy head, and she got some feedback from it. And it was a lot about sports leadership. At first glance, you might think it's a lot about just going and doing sports, or the kids think that anyway. But actually, when you get into the nitty gritty of it, it's all about using communication and how to fully develop that, and how to use that to your benefit, how to talk to groups of people, how to manage groups of people. It's been all right, yeah. It's exciting, cool.
Right. So the way that I wanted to do this, Carl, if you didn't mind, was a little bit like kind of an interview, but not like a bit more of a podcast, I suppose, really, for want of a better phrase. Just kind of go through like where you were, like first introducing yourself, obviously, and then just kind of really kind of get into grips of where you were with the sports leaders before, and what was going on, what were you seeing that kind of you thought might need to change it. I'll just kind of like prompt you along with some questions, and then just go for it, free flow, to be honest, really. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, lovely. So just give us an introduction to yourself, what kind of stuff you do with the school, your background, and how come, you got involved in that particular school, and then, a little bit about really how you got roped into running the sports leaders.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So, my name's Kyle Byrne. I'm currently working for a school in North Cumbria called St Begg's Catholic Junior School. I've been working here about 3 years, and I am working as the computing lead. And it was decided last year that the school wanted to go um, and adopt something called a creative curriculum, which is what one of the secondary schools here uses. And in that creative curriculum, we have curriculum subjects and things like, an arty sort of subject where you can do what you want with art as an outdoor learning. So we thought, not just go out to play sports all the time, but something that would be useful to them that's to do with sports. So we thought sports leadership would be good, and then we found your program where they can get something actually physical out of it, like a certificate and proper documentation to give them a real sense of meaning. And yeah, so we started that, and we've already done one sort of full term of it, if you like. So we basically do only year 5 and 6, and we do a full term per group. So I've done one group already, and I'll do another group from spring term, and I'll do a third group for the summer term. And yeah, that's what we've been doing basically. So we've had a run at it the first time and got my teeth into it, and find out the kinks, find out what works, what I maybe need to add, what I maybe need to change to make it work for us. Because we do it for a full morning from 9:30 till 12:15. So it's a bit of time that we need to have already, otherwise it'll just be chaos. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. The kids have been enjoying it. We've had a lot of good positive comments. We did some a bit of data analysis, if you like, from the deputy head, and she got some feedback from it. And it was a lot about sports leadership. At first glance, you might think it's a lot about just going and doing sports, or the kids think that anyway. But actually, when you get into the nitty gritty of it, it's all about using communication and how to fully develop that, and how to use that to your benefit, how to talk to groups of people, how to manage groups of people.
Sorry, Kyle.
That's all right. I thought I didn't know if I need to leave or not. Luckily, you can join back.
Got kicked out there. I don't know what happened actually, so apologies for that. I got up to the bit where you were saying the head teacher were doing some data analysis.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's not bad then. Yeah, so the deputy head wanted to do some data analysis, and she got a lot of really positive feedback about from the children and what they liked about it, what they were surprised by, and yeah, it was encouraging to see, and it gave us a really good idea that creative curriculum works and this program works as well for us. So we're happy with that.
Right. So were you doing anything kind of like sports leaders wise before you saw the program, or were you not really doing anything in that?
No, we weren't doing anything. No, nothing like it at all before this. As I say, that creative curriculum was sort of in. We've adopted it based on one of the secondary schools nearby, and sort of made it our own little thing. And we just thought, there's a lot of sporty children that do a lot of extracurricular sports that might appeal to them. Or, the idea is it's not just about school's not just about reading and writing and maths. That there's a lot more learning that can be done. So children who find those things specifically difficult, this was another way for them to get something out of school, and it's on a Monday, so they always it gives them something to look forward to starting the week. But yeah, as I said, it was good response overall from all the kids, so we're quite happy with it. And for myself, it's just a learning journey, basically. What works, what I need to maybe do to make it my own, or what I need to do to keep. And so right now we're just in the school. We're about to use something called OPO, which is Outdoor Play and Learning Program, where we lots of different things going on outside in the classroom, and in the playground during breaks and lunchtimes. So this has been a really good thing that we haven't started yet, but this is going to be really useful for us when we want player leaders to actually run games, and we've already got them a little area sort of cordoned off where they can run their own games, maybe once a week, maybe twice, we don't know yet. And we're looking at the idea of getting a board as well, like is mentioned in the program. So not just for the player leaders games, but all the other things going on the playground. So it would work quite well. So it links really well with that specific program.
Wonderful.
It basically means there's always something new going on at the playground that these guys can learn. So it gives them, it's not just, you can run a game or a one-off game if they're going to run a tournament or something, but they're actually going to be using it constantly throughout the year, especially if they're in year 5. They'll be doing it for the rest of year 5 and into year 6 when we need to. So it's going to be useful.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point, to be honest. Especially in terms of kind of those year 5s as they kind of learn and grow. You can only kind of presume really that they're only going to get better, aren't they?
Yeah.
Um, and they're only going to fine tune the skills, aren't they? So that when they get to year 6, you got a lovely kind of loop, haven't you? The new ones coming in, learning off those that have done it for the best part of a year.
Yeah.
We started in that September cohort of yours. Um, and then yeah, you can see some real good kind of sustainability there, can't you? Where there a lot of peer learning going on there as well.
Yeah, it'd be good for them to model it as well. As you say, they'll see the other kids in year 3 and 4 will see them doing it, and it might make them want to join onto that course.
Yeah, that.
Work out for us.
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, it'll work out for us and for them. It's a win-win, really. Helps them out and it helps the school out to be more enjoyable at break times, and yeah, just a good. There's no downsides to it at all, really.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think you're right in terms of encouraging you kind of like the ones. It's something for them to look up to, isn't it? And aspire. That they can get to year 5, and then there's an opportunity to be a sports leader, and especially when they get the new t-shirts, hopefully soon.
Yeah, wait for them. No, but yeah, we'll see how they go, the other ones, because this is just a little cohort, so I don't know what the school's money's like for buying stuff like that, but I thought there would be a good idea on the days they do it. It depends when we work it out how it's going to work. If we are going to do it once a week or maybe twice a week when I'm on duty and I can just help, give them a little nudge when they need it, keep them in the right direction until they're on their own 2 feet. But it's been a way of just trying to give them as much ownership as possible. And that's kind of what in the year I was when with the new cohort now. It's this early sort of, you will be doing this by yourself, and you'll learn these skills how to do it all by yourself. Right now, it feels like there's a lot to learn. By the end of it, we'll be practicing every Monday. You'll plan your own games every Monday. You'll practice delivering them with each other. So by the time you come to do it, it'll be easy. It'll just be with 2 groups of children that day, and you'll have just done, something really impressive. You've led a game as a group, but I think what we find, going on a bit of a tangent here, is what I found was just actually quite a lot of the children, they kind of initially, depending on who they are, of course, but they struggle with sort of that reinforcement of each other and being positive with each other at times. So we did a lot of talking about that, and I actually started taking them to play football and just encourage teamwork through that and positive reinforcement and giving each other, a clap, or just saying, not taking things too seriously, and just giving each other a bit of confidence. And it started to work actually by the end, And then I've heard it walking into school when the breakfast club ones have been playing football. I've heard them, being positive with each other. So it's making them better, human beings as well, because they forget that stuff. They get so competitive. They forget just to give each other, oh, don't worry, we'll get them next time, don't worry. And that was a lot of drilling, but they were getting it. So that's something, a good key point I've learned from this to use from the start, though, not just from when it talks about that, but from the start is when I'm sort of hammering that into them, basically.
Good shout. Good shout. Yeah. It's a real key thing, isn't it? And you're right. Kids are competitive, aren't they? Especially when it comes to sports. So they always want to outdo each other. But if you kind of work a bit more on that collaboration kind of thing, and then that topic on encouragement that's in the modules, hopefully that does help with the, like you say, reinforcing that message of just look, you're going to get more out of each other, yourself, and the kids that you're out there playing with if you just use, a bit of encouragement, nice kind of like, arm around the shoulder sometimes, just tell them they've done something amazing, or just encourage them to try again or whatever, it's yeah, so that's really good to hear that it's kind of like, you've got there, and brilliant that you took them for a bit of football training to kind of get that message across as well. It's a real creative way of doing that, actually. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's really good. So in terms of now, your kind of trained cohort, your first one, I'd be really interested to hear what they're doing now. I mean, I know that you're only probably just going to get started this term, but what kind of things have
Yeah.
they been planning and doing maybe last term as well?
So they haven't done anything with the school as yet, but that's the plan. Is I'm going to sort of brief them on that, and we're going to set that all up for them. We've been. I thought the Opal stuff would have come in earlier, to be honest, but it hasn't yet. It should be soon. I'm hoping. So, but before that, towards the end of the course, because we had a bit of time, as you know, we finished the course. Well, how many lessons are there? I forget now. Is there about 10 or something?
Yeah, 10 modules, yeah.
Yeah. So we had, the autumn term's a big term, isn't it? So we had, 4 lessons spare or something. So we spent that time practicing planning our own lessons. So using that plan sheet you have, but we found that the awards was important and the skills was important, but because we've only got 15-minute time slots, they were the bits that we've kind of put to the side for now. So the warm up in the game is where we're spending most of the time until we do something. Unless it reaches lunchtime, and then they've got more time to do all those things and do a proper, 20-minute thing. But if we decide, well, it's going to be one group of children that can go with you for 15 minutes, then it might be that they could do a warm up and a couple of skills. But anyway, it was basically a lot of practice of that. So they would come up and make their own game. But what I found at the start was they were so sports driven that it would be just some variation of football, or it would be a variation of dodgeball, which was good to see the variations. But I wanted them to be a bit more creative in what their games were and their ideas. So then we started to go a bit to sort of football, tennis, which worked quite well. But I know, and I think it's your first module or the second one. There's a lot of good videos on there from across YouTube that have got really interesting games on there. So I could do with sitting through them and looking at some of them again, to be honest, so that they've got just to refresh themselves. But last week we've just been doing a bit of work on. Well, it was team building, so it was we did some team building games and we practiced them. So what I'm doing at the moment is, and what I did with those guys as well, was just I'll show them a lot of different games, and then they'll come at me and say, "Oh, what about if we change this? What if we do that?" And then we work together as a group, and we just say, "Okay, let's try and change that rule." We try that rule, and then we come back and we say, "Oh, that's not working. Actually, there's a problem with that." For example, we played noughts and crosses with the hula hoops in teams with bibs, and you put the bibs in, and they found that people were throwing them in and cheating a little bit, and they were hanging out of the hoop, and they were getting frustrated by that. So we said, okay, this time you have to put it in, and if it hangs out, it's not going to count. So we tried that, and it just didn't work because they would hang out ever so slightly, but that broke the rule of if it's not wholly within the circle, it doesn't work. So we found, and it was a good point to do early because it reinforced that it's just about changing and adapting and just slowly practicing and learning these games. And it's not going to be perfect to start with. That's why you play test all these things. And I think that's what they enjoyed with it last year. They enjoyed that play testing and coming up with different rules and adding their own rules. So I think that's what they basically did last year, was a lot of play testing of their game. So I'm hoping they can remember some of them because they should have the plans for them still on Shoreby. So they should have the plans. They should be able to look back at them and say, yeah, let's do this game. Let's have a practice first. Or maybe we've got a new idea and incorporate that into playtime stuff, basically. So it's going to be,
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. And I think a real kind of a really nice way of prepping the kids as well, because you've had that time and space to give them those few extra weeks. I think that sounds like it's been very usefully used, doesn't it? Kind of testing the games. Um, I don't know if they've had a chance to have a look at the handbook and see any of the games in there, because along with the videos, I'm going to be adding some more videos as well. But I think the handbook has got some good little games in there,
yeah.
some stuff, but then there's some like nice little games in there that they can play as well.
Yeah,
Like a
we
couple
use that. Use that. So one of the first things I do with them is just tell them to look through that and read through it and find which ones you like, and then we agree which ones we like, and then we just go and play them, and we just as an introduction. But all the time as I'm doing it, it's just about telling them, modelling, and it's not just a PE lesson where I'll explain what we're doing. It's more like, okay, look at what I'm doing, where I'm telling you to stand. It's all about where do you want them to stand, because they're just kids and they'll walk away. You need to be direct, you need to be clear, and you need to be, or whatever the other rules are. So every time we're playing a game, and if I'm telling them how to play it, it's a modelling session of how to sort of deliver it as such. And then in the future, for example, in PE lessons, I've had some of them sports leaders do warm-ups for me, and it's good. It's good because they become quite confident to do it, and they trust themselves, and they go through that process of whatever they're working on, doing more. If it's dodgeball, doing more arms, or they'll just they'll start from head to toe and work down the body. So it's quite nice to just see that independence coming from them, especially the ones who aren't, who don't enjoy a lot of academic things. So it's been useful for them in that regard as well.
Right. Wonderful. I think just to kind of, I'm conscious of time, really. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Um, if you were kind of like, giving advice to other schools, on how they would run a sports leaders program, what kind of like, just say like you're right at the start of it, what kind of advice would you be giving them?
So I would be thinking I would go, so with using your modules, I would use that as a really good backbone, but be prepared to add a lot of it yourself, because I think it's really good and it gives you everything you need and it's got all the super important points. but the kids, they obviously they want to get out and they want to get joining into those games. So it's a good mix of going through the PowerPoints and the videos and quizzes, and then just capitalizing on that every day. Oh, sorry, every lesson that you're doing that. If it is a morning session you're doing, like I was, into something that reflects on what you've done there. So if it was the teamwork one, then do something that would be to do teamwork, obviously. But if we're I think it's pretty it's a really good program, and it's sort of straightforward. It tells you what you need to do exactly. It's not, even if you're not a sporty person, that's nothing to be worried about, because I do like sports. I don't play a lot of sports, but I do like sports, and I used to play a lot of sports. But it's there for you. There's lots of games. You've got that game handbook you mentioned. And a lot of it is their ownership as well. So I tend not to give them so much control. I give them more control than I control it. So they basically lead a lot of the lesson. I follow all the stuff at the start, but then we kind of decide what's important. Okay, we need to do this plan, and then we work on the plan together, and then we go out and we test it. We spend more time actually doing the stuff than planning stuff, because it's important to get out there and just practice and play test it. It's one thing to have a good plan, but when you realise, oh, that didn't quite work, or maybe I actually need a script because I'm getting my rules mixed up, or I don't know what I'm saying, or I'm panicking, then it's just a really good way of building on from the previous lesson.
Wonderful.
I'm not sure if that made sense. I kind of ping-ponged around there what I was saying, but I guess the overall thing what I'm saying is, if you're just starting, it's a very straightforward program. It's not complex. It's not going to make you do lots of sports or anything that you'd be uncomfortable with. It's mainly about communication and oracy, to be honest, is what it's actually about. And as a school, in our school, that's something we wanted to focus on. So we didn't know that before, but it's linked perfectly, because it's all about communication, teamwork, delivery. It gives the kids a lot of confidence. I think it's a good way of just getting the kids doing stuff that is outside, and be ready for that cold weather, all weathers, because you've got to get out in it, or get in that hall and do stuff. So as I say, we spend a bit of time in the morning. We spend about an hour doing the stuff on the iPads and doing the quizzes, doing the talking together, and then we spend 2 hours out, and that's it. They love it.
Brilliant. And I think something probably for us, it'd be really nice to hear, like, how do you think we could improve it? Is there any areas that you think, yeah, well, do you know what, if they did this or they did that, that would be a bit better for us?
I think I guess maybe it's just maybe it's the planning. I think the most struggle I have with them is coming up with the creative games, and I think if there was a bit more that focused on coming up with these different types of games, and maybe because obviously there's the handbook, which is really useful, but maybe ways of how to develop your own game and develop your own. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest, but that's just something I found with them the last cohort, was that their ideas at times were quite samey, and they were a bit afraid to try something really different. So when we've looked at what we've got in the PE cupboard, that kind of helped them. Oh, we've got these things, we can use these things. And it almost needs something like that would be quite cool. How to develop your own game, quite good. And then the only other thing I can think of is there's maybe just there's some bits on the website that could be a bit simpler just to navigate for them. There's a few little in there I've noticed, but I can tell you what they are, and they're probably easy fixed. But other than that, it's straightforward, and it's easy for me to pick up. It's not like I don't have to do any planning around it. It's already there, which is good. I just have the extra bit I have to do on is how do we capitalize on what they've learned that lesson? How do we keep improving? How do we keep practicing? So, like I said, we spent, if we've got spare time, we try and plan their own game every year. Not every day, sorry, every Monday. So yeah, I guess it's just those two things really. Just something about games, how to develop your own game, and then just making the website would be a little bit easier for them to navigate because probably the only two issues I would say. The rest is great.
Right. Wonderful. Yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion, to be honest, Carl, like how to kind of develop the games as well. So not only kind of like the session planning, but
Yeah.
what you're putting in there, what's a good and an easy way to kind of develop the games. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, really good suggestion. I'll definitely have that down and see if I can think about something that we can put that in as well.
Yeah, the teamwork stuff's it's good, but I think I'm trying to remember off the top. Maybe it does talk about it. I think being clear and loud, but I guess it's just even being like the nitty gritty of I'm trying to think of a PE lesson of talking about where you want them to stand and all those little tiny nitbitty rules of like almost if you mess around, they're going to mess around because that's what they do. Some of them were messing around. Guess what? The ones in front of them start doing it. They don't take it serious. So it's just, I guess, modelling, but that is for adults to model first, I guess. But yeah. Other than that, it's been great. It's been a nice one for adding your own things onto as well. It's not like a locked in place. If you don't do this, it's not going to work. It's a good one because you can quite freely add on what I want to do because of the time. It doesn't take 3 hours every session to do those PowerPoints. It's quick, but thorough. That's what I've liked the most about it is it's just adaptable. You can just adapt it to what you're doing.
Right. Wonderful. Great stuff. Right. I will do my best to make sure those t-shirts are out to you. ASAP.
Yeah.
I've already told Neil, our printer, so he's on the case. So it's just really as quick as he gets them done, he'll get them
Yeah, no
out.
worries, yeah.
And then, yeah, just keep in touch. I love to really hear about how the kids are getting on. And even if you got any photos of them kind of doing the bits and bobs that they're allowed to put on our website, that'd be great to see that as
Yeah,
well.
well, once we get the t-shirts and we get them into their playground, I'll definitely send you some stuff over of them leading some lessons. I think it'll be really good.
Oh, yeah, it'd be brilliant to see that. Yeah, really. Right, I shall let you go. I know you've had a really long day. Enjoy the rest of it.
Yeah,
And
no worries.
we'll catch up soon, no doubt.
Yeah, enjoy your time over there.
Thanks a lot, Carl. Appreciate that. Thanks for your time.
No worries. See you later, bye.
Bye-bye.